I was alone physically, but I didn't feel alone spiritually.
Trauma happens when big, difficult emotions coupled with no one to give us a kind witness
Yeah.
to help us move to a place of safety.
Yeah.
So good to be here in the woods with my friend Carleigh Fairchild. We are at Georgia Bushcraft Fall Gathering and thought we'd take a moment here in the beauty of the woods to have a conversation about the things that got us to where we are here today. Really glad that you're here, and I'm honored to have you on the channel as a guest, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Awesome. I'm Carleigh Fairchild, leading people and experiences of deeper human nature connection. And you can find me on the social channels at Carleigh Fairchild or my website, humannatureconnection.com. And so grateful for the Campfire Co-op that we got to meet at. And Matt, you've always been so uplifting and generous with your time and your encouragement, and it's meant the world.
Thank you, Carleigh. I have admired and looked up to you for a long time, and it's been really awesome to get to know you and to learn more about your knowledge, your skills, your heart for people, and the amazing goodness that you bring to so many people through how you share what you know and what you do. I think you're really awesome.
Thank you very much. Well, my question for you, Matt, is what is your earliest remembrance of connection with nature?
Yeah, great question.
Like, where did this all, I mean, probably began before that memory, but like, what's the core memory maybe from your childhood of what led you to where you're at today?
I think I have two very influential core memories. And the first was with my mom's father, Poppy, who I have his middle name, which I'm honored to carry. And when I was 5 years old, starting when I was 5 years old, I used to get on a Southwest Airlines flight with a little ticket on me as a minor, a child, and I got escorted on the plane, and I would fly up to where he lived in the Texas Panhandle, and he would drive down to Amarillo and pick me up at the airport, and then I would spend 3 days around Thanksgiving hunting quail with him.
Okay.
And one of the things that I appreciate so much about Poppy is that he wouldn't let me hunt with a gun until I was 15, because he wanted me to learn the beauty and the joy of fellowship and being friends and having conversation, and the beauty of nature and the creation. And he wanted me to appreciate that more than hunting, and certainly more than killing.
Cool.
And he always made sure that whatever we killed, we ate. And so that was ingrained in me early on. And I'm really grateful for Poppy, because he really introduced me to the beauty of nature, but also the connection, not only with nature, but that we have together as humans in nature.
Yes.
And I'm really grateful for him for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very, like, how many people are so lucky to have somebody in their life who can help nurture that and cultivate those qualities that are so essential for community.
Yes.
Right? And there's very little of that happening.
Yes. And I remember when we would, because we walked, and when we would stop to take a break, we'd sit down, and he would always bring one or two of his best friends. And I think I really learned the appreciation of conversation and the way that these older grandfathers talked, and their wisdom and their humor and their kindness to me. I think that was shaping for me, really.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Like, hunting is a way that a lot of people can connect with the outdoors, but the appreciation doesn't always go hand in hand with that.
That's right.
So that's really awesome that was like an essential part of it, was like,
Yes.
you have to have this first and then you can do the hunting aspect.
Yes. Very, very grateful for that. How about you?
I think some of my earliest memories outdoors are like just playing in the big outdoor, like playing in my big backyard with neighborhood kids. My mom always had a garden growing up, so picking tomatoes and squash from the garden. Helping my aunt and uncle on their farm. They had chickens and a huge garden. And I don't really know what is the earliest memory, but all that was happening. I think the gardens, probably since I was born, my mom had gardens, and then just like was part of my early childhood. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I just had another memory
Oh.
while we were talking. There was a time during the year, and I don't know if that's because that's when we were allowed to cut and trim oak trees, or if it was like the city, natural debris pickup.
Okay.
But it was when everybody trimmed all of their trees, all of their limbs, and they would put the big brush piles in the front yard. And that was my favorite time of year because I wanted to make forts.
Awesome.
And I had not thought about that memory since we were just talking right now, but I think that's probably the genesis of why I like forts, and in particular shelters, building shelters,
Yes.
because that was my heart. Like, let's build a fort, let's build a shelter and sleep in it.
Yeah.
And nobody would ever sleep in it. And my parents wouldn't let me sleep in it. But like, we built some really cool forts
Yes.
with some downed, trimmed
That's so
tree
fun.
limbs. It's really fun.
Yeah. I remember doing the giant pile of leaves. We had multiple maple trees in the backyard and huge piles of leaves, and just getting to play in them. And yeah.
Yes.
And then later as a teenager, there was a giant ice storm, and it took down a whole bunch of pine boughs and
Okay.
branches, and I piled them up into a giant squirrel's nest. And because it was an ice storm, everything was wet. So I took a tarp out, a tarp out and like a wool blanket, and like slept in the middle of this nest of pine boughs one night.
Wow.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
How old were
fun.
you when you slept out like that?
That, I was probably 17, I'm going to guess.
Pretty brave for 17. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Another memory that comes up for me is part of my schooling where I went to the same school from 5th through the 12th grade.
Okay.
And as a rite of passage going into the 9th grade, everyone would go up to this piece of land that the school owned in northern Colorado, and we would do a 7-day backpacking trip.
Cool.
And you got put together with 5 fellow students, an upperclassman, usually going into their senior year, and 2 professors
Okay.
from the high school. And they taught you how to build a fire. We slept under tarps. It rained, and so they taught you how to trench. And they did a 24-hour solo. Well, pause, because that spring, one of the things that my family did is we would, once a month or so, we would go out to eat dinner, and then we would go to the neighborhood library.
Okay.
And it was one of those family-owned libraries, if you remember. They don't really exist much anymore. But my dad's kind of plan was to keep us reading is whatever magazine or book that he bought us last time, if we read it, he would buy us something else.
Okay.
And so that's how he incentivized us to read growing up. Well, I loved maps and outdoor things. So in the spring of the 8th grade, I went in and I found a very important book.
What book was that, Matt?
Tom Brown's Guide to Wilderness Survival.
Awesome.
And it was one of the first books that I just couldn't put down. I was so mesmerized by all that was being taught and all that I wanted to do. And it's almost like I connected with a part of myself that I knew it was me, but like I'd never met that part of me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I really found a part of me coming alive as I read that. So when I went on that trip and I went out to my solo. They spread us out in a big horseshoe. We couldn't see each other, but we all had whistles, but we were pretty isolated. And a lot of the boys didn't make it. They went back to camp, or they were really homesick, or they were really scared.
Right.
I had the time of my life, and I built my first shelter.
Oh, that's amazing.
On that trip, and it rained that night, and I was the only kid that stayed dry. And it was so significant that Mr. Kaiser, one of my professors, came around and he said, "Did you find that here?" And I said, "No, I built it." And he's like, "No, come on, explain to me how you built it." And I explained, and I told him about Tom Brown's book. And he said, "Hang on." And he went, and about 15 minutes later, he came back with half of my class. And he asked me to teach them what I had learned and what I had done and what my experience. And it was really affirming for authority figures, for teachers, to invite you to do that, and for all of your peers to kind of be like, oh. Yeah. And I think that kind of ingrained in me, you know, maybe I could do this, maybe I could teach, but it was definitely an affirmative moment. And I'm really grateful for Tom Brown and that book and how he helped me learn more about who I am and how to build a shelter, among many things. I think that's something we might have in common.
Yeah, that's so cool. As I would have been between 6th and 7th grade when I went to a summer camp at the Tom Brown's Tracking and Survival School. They had a program for teenagers, and I went to summer camp and got to make shelters out in the woods with groups of people, and it was so amazing. Like, we made a shelter all together as a group and got to like draw. If you wanted to go spend one night in it, you had to put your name in the hat, and my name got drawn.
Really?
And I got to, my friend and an instructor like walked me out to it that night and left me. My first all alone experience. And
that's where it began.
And I was terrified.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, what if the bears come? Because there were bears in that area of North Jersey. And but it was the start of like how like my own psychology can help me, because I like talk through the scenarios of what could happen. Like, yes, there's bears around, and like maybe they'll come sniff or something and be curious, but like they're not gonna, I don't have any food on me, they're not gonna come bother me. If they do, I've got a stick in the shelter with me, like I could try to scare it away with the stick. And I fell asleep, and when I woke up in the morning, I felt like so cozy and rejuvenated of just sleeping like in the earth, literally, like in these, you know, in these leaves and these sticks, and waking up and crawling out was just so amazing.
Very cool.
Yeah. So like going to summer camps, my parents had recently gotten divorced, and I was a new teenager. And so life was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Who am I? What's going on in my life, with the world? And going and being outdoors with other people, learning skills that really all of our ancestors knew some version of at some point back in time. You know, the principles of shelter are the same no matter if we're using ice blocks or we're using leaves. We need something that's going to shed water. We need something that we can stay warm inside of, that's going to have some insulative value. And it really just like connected me to a really deep part of myself that really brought like joy and passion and excitement into my life. And then like I was like, I want to do more of this. So like every summer as a teenager, I went to summer camps with coyote tracks. And then I took classes at the tracker school with Tom Brown Jr. and his like awesome group of instructors, and went on survival trips. Like, okay, I'm going to take my, you know, different levels of leaving items behind. and trying to see, like, can I just go out and make a shelter? Can I find water and food? And usually, sometimes a couple times by myself for short periods, but usually going with a group of people, just to test it out. And the survival shows started to get popular. I watched Survivor a bunch and thought about going on that show, but I really wasn't sure about the social aspect of it. I was like, the survival part, like, that sounds great. The physical challenges, that sounds fun. The social aspect, I don't know if I want to play those games. And then I saw an episode of Alone, and I thought to myself, this is authentic. Like, there's no camera crew staging anything. Like, it's just the person and their experience. And I thought how awesome it would be to go, and I had heard stories of my mentors like going out for long periods of time to test their skills, to live with the land. And I really wanted to have that experience. And in my dream, like, I'd hoped to do that with somebody. But the show came up into my awareness, and I was like, I could do it alone. Like, life's kind of crazy right now, challenging. Having some alone time to, like, figure out my own pace and rhythm sounds really nice. And then the aspect that it's a show, so there is a safety team, like, on standby, like, far away. But if something terrible were to happen, there's help.
Click, yeah.
Yep. Click the button, help. And so I was like, okay, this sounds amazing. I want to go for it.
Wow.
So I applied. I didn't even see the whole season. I think I did end up watching the whole season, but I didn't see it all before I applied for it. I was just like, this is, like, I want to show also, because there's some survival shows out there that are pretty, come from a perspective of, like, the earth is just a resource to take. And my perspective, coming from the lineage of Tom Brown Jr., is like, the land is here as something to have a relationship with, something to care for and to receive. But it's not a one-way street. It goes both ways.
Yes.
And so I really wanted to have that opportunity to show people that, like we're here to have a relationship with the land. Like, we are part of nature. We're not separate from it.
So what was that experience like for you? Because, I mean, what you're sharing is at a very formative time in your life as a young woman, coupled with some separation in your parents, coupled with the community of the Tom Brown School and learning things and being a part of really some, not just skills, but belonging.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you have the opportunity to live this out, but you're going to be alone, right? You said, I thought I would do that with someone, but now you're alone. So alone on alone, what was that like for you?
Yeah.
From an interior point as well as skills, you know?
I really relished I did relish the aloneness a lot. Like, I didn't need to worry about what anybody else was doing or what anybody else might be thinking or needing. Like, I could really focus on what were my needs and what was it that I was wanting to do. And be able to move from that place, like move from a more internal place instead of worrying about everything out here.
Yeah, which is not a common experience, right?
Right. I think our society, often to an unhelpful state, we learn growing up that, or I can say I learned growing up that, like, I needed to make sure know where everybody was at because that's how I could find contact. Like if I knew where people were at, then I could be whatever was needed to be okay.
Yep.
Right? We all come up with stories as kids, no matter what our experiences growing up. We come up with a story of who we need to be loved
And to be safe.
and to be safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so having the chance to be alone was also a real like start in me in my adult life to look at that patterning and to see like, what did I do when I was by myself for that long of a time? Because I was out there for 86 days. And I was alone physically, but I didn't feel alone spiritually.
Mm,
Like I felt in some ways more connected to people I loved than I do like, say, like this week.
amazing.
Because this experience amplified it, but it also, I was more on their radar on a daily basis. They were thinking about me and sending me good energy or prayers for the experience.
Mm.
And then my intention stepping onto the land for the first time was to introduce myself. Like I made friends with the trees and with the plants and with the lake and the birds. Like it became home.
Mm-hmm.
And
you kind of entered into their home, like that home for them. And so did you feel like when did it go from feeling maybe like a guest to actually being a part of that place? What was that journey like?
yeah, that was, you know, it takes time to build relationships. Just like with people. It's not through just one conversation that you get to know somebody very well. And so it was a conversation daily. From the moment I arrived, I felt like I was entering into somebody else's, a new place, another home. And so I introduced myself and shared like, when I'm here, I want to act with a lot of respect, and I want to try to be a caretaker and make the land a better place for my time here. And I wanted to like be here in relationship and to be here as long as I could. And hopefully win at the end.
Yeah.
And so then it was a mapping, like in my head when I go to a new place, I feel like I have a bird's eye perspective looking down, and I'll kind of have a map in my head of like where are the trails or the waterways, or like these two trees behind us are kind of unique, and how there's two and they both have a side branch that they're both dead, that are coming up off of them, and like these two would be a marker, a little pin, so to speak, on my mental map. And so like significant landmarks of different varieties get placed on the map, and then it expands and gets detailed, and like finding like South America. I'd never been to South America before. There are very different tree species there, very different bush species, a lot of different plants. However, there were some of my good friends there, dandelion and plantain and sheep sorrel and clover and chickweed and stinging nettles I found there as well.
Wow. That's good. That's all good stuff.
All good food, all good medicine.
Yes.
And so running into those plants was like running into a friend. Like,
Yeah.
oh, hi! Like just that feeling of excitement like comes up of like, hello, friend. So glad to see you here.
Yeah.
So it was a gradual journey.
In the way that there was provision there for your needs.
Yeah.
It was all there. I know it was not easy. I'm curious to know, what was the most life-giving for you, and what was the hardest?
Well, the hardest, that's more singular. I was saying what was the hardest thing. And the hardest thing was catching fish. And going out to the edge of the lake and casting a line over and over and over again and not catching fish. Because literally, I mean, my life depended on getting food, and fish was something that I thought would be more accessible, more plentiful. And so not just like continuing to strike out over and over again was really heart-wrenching. And like I would just get to the point where I couldn't do it anymore. I'd be like really cold from standing out the edge of the lake, and like, but just the emotional toll of hope, reel in, slow, you know.
What's the conversation that you're having with yourself in those moments?
I mean, a lot of prayer for catching a fish,
Yeah.
for sure. Some like, oh, not again. Okay, but maybe this time, you know, or like, what can I do? Is there something I can do different? You know, trying different lengths between my little stick that was like my floater and the end of the line, or trying different places, or trying to figure out something else to try for bait.
There's a proverb that says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. Did you ever feel like just kind of a sinking sadness, or?
Totally. That's what I'm saying, like the disappointment.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of that. Yeah.
How many fish total did you catch in 86 days?
I caught 6 fish in 86 days.
That is not a lot of fish.
And they were like little lake trout.
Yeah. You had some fish head soup?
All the time. Yep. Well, every fish. Cut it up into pieces, put it all in the pot, eat. I mean, I gutted it, but the last like 2 fish, I cleaned out the stomach and I cleaned out half the intestine, and I ate that as well.
And then what were your other sources of food, either plants or rabbits?
Plants. I did not see rabbit sign.
No rabbit?
And yeah, there wasn't a lot of really wasn't other options.
So that's a long
Fish and
time.
plants.
That's a long time to go on fish and plants. 86 days on 6 fish?
So mostly eating plants.
Mostly eating plants.
Yeah, green soup. Green soup every night before bed.
What was the most life-giving kind of fun, like when you think back and you have memories that surface and bring you a sense of joy or strength?
Yeah.
Like what were those moments?
Some of them were moments where especially as time went on, I got into a very focus of like, how much energy am I putting into an activity, and is it gonna feed me back? Generally in the very physical sense, I was thinking that. And then I started thinking about, okay, in my overall experience, like what are the things, if I never do, I'll be mad about? Like wish I had done it. And so some of those cost a lot of energy, like hiking up the mountain behind me so that I could see the sunrise. Because the way the mountains were, I really couldn't see the sunrise from my camp. But if I hiked up the hill behind my camp, then I would be able to see the sunrise over the other mountain.
Which was a big morale boost, I'm guessing.
It was huge. And I didn't go to the top of the mountain. I didn't need to. But I went up a ways, higher than I had before in my explorations, to get high enough to see that. And it was still dark. Like I hiked up in the dark.
Wow.
And the stars were out. And when I got up there and I looked east, I could see the constellation Orion in the east. And when I had got there in the night, in the evenings at sunset, after sunset, I had seen Orion in the west at sunset. And in that moment, I really had a felt sense of how long I had been there.
Wow. Yeah.
Because I was making marks on my spoon, little carving a notch for every day. And that certainly had a feel to it, all those notches adding up. But having that constellation in a totally different place really was like, it's a whole nother, like a whole season, you know, it's basically 3 months, you know, a whole season has gone by, and the sun crested over the mountain ridge, and it lit up all the tops of the trees, and it almost looked like a African safari picture, the way the trees grew there. And how they like have these tall trunks, and then they come up and then they like spread out. And it was really magical. And so like that was super like uplifting to feel and have that experience.
What are you most thankful for about your experience on Alone? And this is going to challenge you because you're a very humble person.
Oh.
But what are you most proud of?
Yeah. We'll go to the easy one first. The thing that I am most grateful for about it is that it has led to a lot of connections with other people. So even though I had the experience totally alone, from that experience, I learned how much I actually value connection with other people. Before, I would say, like it didn't register it. I wasn't aware of it. I was like, oh yeah, I'm fine by myself. I'm good. I don't need anything. And now I'm like, no, I really value people. I really value connection with other people, and really am grateful for all of the connections, like here, like connecting here to you. Like literally, I wouldn't be here and know all the people that I know here at Georgia Bushcraft without having been on Alone.
That's really amazing that you would go through aloneness in order to have an appreciation of community and belonging, and that the very 86 days of aloneness actually opened up so many new relationships and opportunities for you. It's
amazing.
It's almost like a seed that gets planted and then it blossoms into something that it wouldn't be otherwise had it not be sown.
Or those plants where like the leaf grows and dies and then the flower comes up another time.
Yeah, it's interesting. Almost in your story, I can see a theme of, in that first sleeping in the ground, like there was almost like a new season of life that emerged the next day. And there's a way that Alone is kind of a death to a part of yourself that gave life to another part of yourself in some ways too. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. I think that part's still slowly dying.
Being alone for 86 days is a feat in and of itself, but caring for yourself physically, emotionally, spiritually, that takes a very special person with significant skills. As best as you can, tell us about,
so I don't cry.
Tell us about that amazing part of you.
I have realized recently how much I can have like a harsh internal voice that like gives me a hard time. And I'm working actively to uplift the encouragement and the encouraging voice, which having people like you in my life is like a great example of like how awesome that feels to have encouraging words said to me and be like, oh, I could also do that in myself. And when I think back to my time on Alone, I don't know that harsh voice was there. I'm sure it was some, but it wasn't the lead voice. And the lead voice was my desire to live life fully.
Wow.
To live life to the fullest, even in the struggle and even in the heartache, to not push it aside, but to give it space to be there, you know, to be like really frustrated for a bit and just let it be, or to cry because of the overwhelm and exhaustion and loneliness that was there sometimes. And it is hard to say what I'm proud of because I see like so many different aspects and things that I could have done differently or improved upon, even though I also would say I wouldn't do it differently. So it's both true. But I'm proud of how much I just showed up and did the best I could. Like to say, oh yeah, with my awareness now I see things. But I did the best I could. And I leaned on and was carried by my connection with the land and my connection with other people from far away. And the connection of knowing myself to the level that I knew at that point to help me reach did I reach my goal? Yes. I stayed there as long as I could. That was my goal.
Yep.
I hope to win.
I think you probably would have stayed a little bit longer if...
I would have stayed longer if they hadn't have pulled me.
Yep.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I can make it. I can definitely make it to 90 days. I think I can make it to 100 days. We'll see. And that's, as far as I was going. Yeah. But I was only going 1 week at a time in my brain the entire time.
Wow.
Like, okay, what do I need in this next week? And then what do I need today? Like, oh, is my firewood pile low? Let me go get wood. Is my basket full of plants low? I need to go get more plants.
Which got harder the longer into the winter you got.
Yeah.
Well, I'm proud of you. I think you did awesome. Because most people know you and experience your experience of Alone from the very little of the 86 days that they actually got to see.
Right.
And so I'm wondering, from your perspective, what do you wish people could have seen that didn't actually make the show?
Yeah. I'll first say that I am really happy with how they edited my experience. Like, yes, I probably filmed like 400 hours.
Wow.
And maybe there's 45 minutes total throughout all the different episodes.
Yep.
That's a very small percentage of time.
Yes.
And I don't know, like when people meet me who don't know me from anywhere other than Alone, and they share like their reflection of me to me, I'm like, that's spot on. It would have been awesome if they would have showed more of my basket making or more of me just sitting out in the woods.
Yeah.
But who wants to watch me just sitting against a tree for hours?
I do wish more people could see your gift and your genius at basket making.
Yeah. I think there's a little bit of it in the show, but it's very little. And I mean, it's interesting. I made 4 baskets while I was there because I wanted to do things that, like, for what I needed or for what I wanted. And I wasn't intentionally ever trying to keep my hands busy. It wasn't like, oh, I've got to find something to carve on or something to make to fill my time. Like, I wasn't looking to fill my time. I was looking to live and to enjoy my time. And so that did look like sitting in the sun by a tree for periods of time and just being. And then also my pace slowed way down as a kind of intentionally as a calorie expenditure reducing. Like, okay, if I'm moving slower, then maybe I'm burning less calories.
But also your whole nervous system is probably slowing down and becoming more attuned with your surrounding. I mean, were you feeling more shalom or peace or serenity, or were you experiencing like fear and adrenaline and
Yeah, I would say more peace for sure, except around fishing. That was a lot of anxiety and occasionally some fear, but would do what I could to try to alleviate it, and then be like, okay, whatever's meant to be, like,
yeah,
gotta sleep. So Matt, you've been into the outdoor skills world for a while and leading trips for groups of men
yes,
in the backcountry. And I'm curious, what's your favorite knife? Like, what do you take with you?
My favorite knife is this LT Wright Genesis.
Yes.
And
with your company name on here.
Yes, I did that.
Did you do this in their build it yourself?
I did not. I have
Okay.
not been able to do that yet. I want to.
Yeah.
But I did pick the materials of that knife.
Yep.
And that is a custom Ravello knife. But the reason why I love that knife is I did a 45-day survival skills instructor course in the fall of 2020.
Okay.
And that had always been kind of a bucket list dream for me, but I'd never had 45 days in my life. And I was on sabbatical in transition between what I was doing in 2019 and what I started doing in 2021, Ravello.
I love these pins.
Yes. Aren't those cool?
Those are super cool. And the orange liners.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I did a bunch of research on what would be the best bushcraft survival knife to take to survival school.
Yeah.
And LT Wright and the Genesis kept coming up and what I was reading and who I was talking to. So I took one and I used it every day, all day long for the entire time.
Yep.
And as you know, when you have a tool that you're using every day and you're depending on, you bond with it.
Yes.
It becomes a companion, a friend, an ally.
Yeah.
And so I just really love that knife. And so when I got off the course and I got home, on all the way back on the drive, I'm like, I want to meet the maker.
Yes.
And I started wondering, and then I stalked LT on YouTube and I saw a video and he was giving somebody a tour and he was introducing people in the shop and he was saying a little bit of something about each one of his team. And I'm like, this guy is special. This guy is neat. I really want to get to know him. And so I called him out of the blue, nervous. I called him.
That's so cool.
And Elaine answered the phone. We had a delightful talk. He was busy. She said he'd call me back. And he did, like 2 days later. The phone
you were
rang.
like, oh, sure, he'll call.
Exactly. And he did. And he took the time and he wanted to know my story and I wanted to know his story. And we talked for almost an hour on the phone. And I just think he is an amazing human being.
Yeah.
I think he's an amazing craftsman. He's super generous. And I'm just really grateful. And I think he makes the best bushcraft knife out there.
Yeah. As do I. As do I.
So of all the
Because
things you could have chosen,
I chose the LT Wright Genesis.
yeah, you did.
To take with me on Alone because I wanted a tool that I could trust and rely on. And I didn't even know who LT Wright Knives was. I went and looked at all the knives in all the stores, and none of them felt like the right knife for me. A lot of them didn't feel good in my hand. And knowing I was going to use it a lot, I wanted it to feel comfortable in my hand and not have edges that were going to like dig into my hand. And so I found this knife and I was like, that's it. Didn't have any idea who the company was. Went on the show, used it, loved it, came home, the show aired, and they reached out to me.
Really?
Yeah, and said, hey, we saw you, like, congratulations, you did amazing. Like, anything we can ever do for you, let us know.
And they did, because that's your own edition.
Yes, the Carleigh Fairchild signature knife.
Wow.
With my quote, never give up.
Never give up. Look at that. I don't know if they can see that or not, but
never give up.
The Carleigh Fairchild Never Give Up Alone Genesis knife.
Well, and so you've done some solo trips yourself.
Yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but often you'll do a trip in an area that you're going to go take a group in. You'll go and do a solo there to scout it out.
That's right. I call it R&D, a little research and development.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
Because I like to have that experience so that I can better lead and guide others into it.
Yeah.
And I did last May. It was a while since I had done a solo trip, but I did a 9-day solo up in the Boundary Waters canoe area. And it was really perfect because I went about 5 days after ice out. Okay. So nobody was really there.
Wow. No
bugs yet. And it was still like I got snowed on for a couple of days. I had the full range. I had weather like this, it'd be like 68 and sunny. Nice. And then it was, 28 and snowing.
Yeah.
But there is something very good for me when I'm alone with God and myself in creation with no other distraction or stimulus or demands other than being me. Kind of like what you were saying earlier, just being.
Yeah, just be.
Just be.
We're human beings.
Yes. And it's such a gift to have time. Like my second or third day out, I'd made it to where the lake that I wanted to stay that night a little faster than I thought I would. And there was this circle of birch trees and some green grass that had already started that spring in the middle of this circle of birch trees. And they were just starting to get leaves on them.
Cool.
And I remember just laying down for probably, 4 or 5 hours. I would get up and I would pace, but I would lay under those and just the rustle of the birch leaves starting to bud on the trees and the blue sky and the sunshine. And I could it's almost like I was shedding stress. I was shedding hurt. I was shedding all sorts of big emotions that I had been carrying. And it was just a reset.
Yeah. For
my mind, for my soul, for my body. It was just a reset. And that my whole experience on a solo is like that.
Yeah.
And you recently went on a backpacking solo.
I did. I did a 4-day backpacking solo in the Pisgah National Forest and had a fantastic time, and very similar, just like realized it's been a while since I've gone out on a solo backpacking trip, like a couple of years. And I was like, I need this. I need to recharge and just, there's a way of getting back to the basics of there's nothing else that can be done about anything else in the rest of life, right? It's like, am I cold? warm, hungry, thirsty, need to go to the bathroom, tired,
Yeah.
and that's all.
Yep.
I mean, yes, that's all. And then I'm like, but there's also more. There's like, oh, look at these amazing leaves. They're
Yes.
so gorgeous. Oh, this light right now.
Yes.
But it's like those needs, and then there's like, oh, like just what can I enjoy, and be in the present moment, and just not worry about emails or social media or marketing or, you know,
Yes.
how are people going to find out about the programs I run? Like not like just, oh, it's just me time.
Yeah. And the different kind of bombardment that you get or that we get when we're alone in nature, it's the sound of water running or lapping, the sound of loons. For me, I had 2 nights where the timber wolves were calling.
Oh my goodness.
And so much, you know, moose, wolf, deer track on the portages, and you're a part of a whole nother experience of, but all of the stimulus that you get in that environment, it's like all life-giving. It's not, it doesn't drain or pull from you.
Right.
It feels like it builds me up, you know?
Yeah, totally.
So I'm curious, being alone for 86 days and what that brought to your mind, your soul, your body. What was it like being alone again on that backpacking trip?
Yeah. A fair number of years have been since I did the 86 days. And it has been a journey of being able to be outdoors for longer periods of time, and in a potentially like physically stressful way, to not have the emotional stress or trauma of being alone for 86 days come to the surface. I've done a lot of healing work in the last almost decade, and while I loved my experience on Alone, and I would 100%, if I could go back and make the choice to do it again or not, I would do it again.
But it's curious, you know, you bring up trauma, and my understanding of trauma is that trauma happens when there are big, difficult emotions that kind of get fused together, coupled with aloneness.
Yeah.
And so we have overwhelm in our nervous system, our brain, our bodies, and no one there to give us a kind, gracious witness
Yeah.
to see us, to hear us, to feel with us,
Right.
to help us move to a place of safety.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable talking a little bit about that part of your experience in life or on Alone or on the
Yeah.
backpacking trip?
I mean, the nervous system, like on Alone, I didn't know much about my nervous system, really. And it's been in the last couple of years that I feel like I've developed a relationship with my nervous system and can like recognize it and modulate what's needed for it. I'm curious to switch the question back to you. How was your nervous system on your Boundary Waters trip when you're out there for 9 days by yourself? And was there moments of, I'm gonna say, dysregulation in your nervous system?
Yes.
And how did you work with it? Since you were out there alone?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. For me, there were kind of 2 things that would come up for me. One is the people that I missed, who I love and who love me,
Yeah.
and I have a secure attachment with. And as a husband and as a dad, working through gratitude for the encouragement to go, but guilt because, I put so much more on my wife and my kids when I'm not there. They have to do my share of the responsibilities and kind of navigating through that inner battle. But for me, what happens when I give myself the ability to be alone is story comes up, and particularly painful story. People who have hurt me that I have forgiven, but I am still in the process of forgiving.
Right.
And I spent a lot of time allowing those faces, those memories, and the emotions that went with them to surface. And part of the gift of being alone with God in nature, securely attached to people who are praying for me, is that I felt safe enough with the loons and the wolves and the birch trees and the lapping water to allow some of those things to come up.
Nice.
Rather than try and keep them down, rather than try to avoid them or
Right.
pretend they didn't happen. And there were a lot of tears on 2 different lakes. And there was one lake where there was a rock kind of shore. And that was the day that it was snowing, and it wasn't snowing hard enough to where I was getting wet, but I was sitting by the fire and the snow was falling at just the right rate where by the time it hit, it would dry. And so I got to sit by the fire all day long.
Nice.
But every now and then I would get up and I'd pace that rock shoal, and there was about 6 feet out, 10 feet out, 6 feet down, there was this big rock. And Carleigh, all day long, I probably went back and forth. I probably went out there 6, 7 different times.
I
Sorry.
recently learned that that's something. And I don't know what.
And as a face, as a memory, as a painful experience would surface, I would allow myself to feel the emotion, feel anger, feel betrayal, feel rejection.
Yeah.
And then I would take those emotions and kind of in my imagination, I would put those on the rock out there. And so it was a way that I was giving my nervous system and my body permission to process and to grieve and to be angry and to be real and to get through some really big, difficult emotions that I wasn't able to.
Right.
But now I was, because I was safe.
Yeah.
And to put it on that rock. And I'll never forget, when I left, I had to paddle right past that rock. And it was like, I'm leaving it there.
Bye.
I'm leaving it there. It's underwater. Thank you. Like, I really experienced a measure of release and relief and healing.
Yeah.
But I needed to go through that. I needed to forgive. I needed to bless. I needed to remember. But I also needed to lay it down and not carry it anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful share. You know, emotion has the word motion, right? Emotion needs to move.
Yes.
Emotion is a communication that can get stuck and be this like huge event or something in our lives. But if it can move through, and sometimes it takes many different times of it moving through, but it doesn't mean that you haven't done anything. It's just, oh, there's another layer.
Yes. Which is one of the ways that I'm so grateful for you and what you're doing, because most of us, we have all sorts of education growing up in school. We get driver's education and sex education and health education, but we never get emotional education. Right. And it's like, that's like one of the most important ones. And so in many of us don't have good modeling from parents or authority figures. And so we don't learn. And one of the things that I really admire and respect about what you're doing is you are guiding people how to be in touch with their emotions, how to feel their emotions, move their emotions, and you're working with their nervous systems and their bodies and their souls, like their worth. And I think that is so important, what you're doing.
And I think that's very similar to what you're doing in the world as well, Matt.
And it's a cool connection point in our friendship because we're both in a season of our lives where we've explored the Genesis story, where we've had we've done the work of naming those things in our past that were harmful to us, but also being able to embrace the things in our past that were very formative for us and good, and to go through difficult times, but to be in a place now where we get to give back out of what we have learned, how we have grown, and out of our healing.
Yeah.
You know, it's there's an author that I read. His name is Henry Nouwen, and he has a book called Wounded Healer. And he talks about how all of us really make our most significant impact in the world, not out of our strengths, but out of our redemptive pain. Out of our wounding that gets healed, we have something so significant to offer others.
Yeah.
And
parallel there in my line of healing work and teaching healing at Wilderness Fusion is that the wound is the gift.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a place that we have access to because like a regulated nervous system can help somebody, a dysregulated nervous system, regulate.
Yeah.
Right? Which is why sometimes it's a lot easier to just go out into nature and be alone because you can regulate off of the nervous system of the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And when sometimes it can be really difficult if there aren't people with regulated nervous systems around us to help us. So I think that's why we find a lot of peace, or a lot of people, you know. I know we both find peace coming outdoors. Like we'd much rather sit out here in the middle of the woods than be indoors having a conversation.
Yep. Yep.
You know, it's fun to hear the acorns dropping and the birds calling and, you know, the noise of the gathering happening around us. Just have a little, time in the woods.
Such an awesome conversation.
Yeah.
It's so good to be with you. I'm glad we got to have this conversation here in the woods of Georgia at the Georgia Bushcraft Fall Gathering. You should check it out, Georgia Bushcraft.
Definitely.
And
it's been a pleasure talking with you and sharing stories and questions. It's always fun to see where where the questions will lead.
Yes. So, but before we sign off, how can people learn about what you're doing and the courses that you are offering?
Yes.
Where can they find out more information and connect with you on that?
Yeah, the best place to connect with me is to go to humannatureconnection.com and join my email community. I promise I do not spam you, and you are welcome to unsubscribe at any time. However, that is the best place to get direct communication from me about workshops I'm offering, cool conversations I'm having with people, things I'm thinking about and curious about. I offer bodywork healing and basketry workshops, nature connection experiences, survival workshops. So that's where to get a hold of me. And I am on socials, so you can give me a follow. Carleigh Fairchild, or at Carleigh Fairchild is my handle. And Matt, what about you? For folks out there that would like to enjoy some of your encouraging words and have a cheerleader in their corner, or want to go on a a trip with you.
Yeah, so I'm doing 4 things. I'm doing leadership formation, soul care, trauma counseling, and wilderness adventure trips. And you can find out about all of those things at www.revelo, revelo.live, L-I-V-E, revelo.live. And my YouTube channel is Matt Kessler Revelo. And I hope to have more conversations like this in the future so that you get to meet and know and gain access to really amazing people with great stories who you can connect with beyond YouTube. Thank you, Carleigh.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Really enjoy.
It's been a good conversation.
Yeah.